Beating the spread. These are your best bets for the college football season, week 7, coming up this weekend. I'm your host, Mike Goodpaster. Right now, I want to mention the fact that the Grueling True Sports Network is powered by betting.net. Betting.net is your best bet for finding an online casino or sports book that's right for you. Make sure you check out betting.net. All right, guys, we're going to start off with our top plays of the week. And we're going to start off with a little roll tide, the Alabama Crimson Tide against Mississippi State. And basically, in a single moment, Alabama's 19-game win streak, 100 consecutive victories against an unranked opponent, and Nick Saban's perfect record all came to an end. The highest-paid coach in college football is never pleased, even after wins, but the Week 6 performance might have lit a burning rage and created motivation that the Crimson Knight needed. It's an unfortunate turn of events for Mississippi State. While this is the same program that beat Texas A&M 26-22, the circumstances are quite different now. The Crimson Tide need to recover before their college football playoff hopes vanish. Keep in mind that the Bulldogs are used to being at the receiving end of facing a Saban-led team after a loss. Look for Alabama to rebound. I think they beat the Bulldogs by 3 touchdowns or more. So I would go ahead. I would take the 17.5 points. I would give the 17.5 points and go with Alabama. All right, guys, that brings us to a Big Ten matchup between the red-hot Michigan State Spartans and the Indiana Hoosiers. The Indiana Hoosiers are a team that has been a huge disappointment this year. And the only reason Michigan State Spartans aren't a bigger favorite in Week 7 is because of concerns that this is a trap game for an undefeated team. They are ranked 10th in the country, higher in college football playoff rankings, and than most people thought they would be. And many think Michigan State's looking past Indiana with a bye week in Week 8 and Michigan looming on October the 30th. I'm not buying into that thinking. I think coming off a 232-yard game, junior running back Kenneth Walker III can put this team on his back. He leads the nation in rushing yards at 912, and he leads by triple digits. He's averaging a whopping 7.1 yards per carry. On Saturday, he faces a Hoosiers defense, allowing 128.6 rushing yards per game. Keep in mind, this same defense allowed 209 yards on the ground to Penn State and 178 to Iowa. Michigan State is even better running the ball. So I feel safe here betting on the Spartans winning this by a touchdown. And, Gainwell will strengthen his case for the Heisman Trophy. After that, the team will get a much-deserved week off before they battle Michigan in what it looks to be one of the biggest matchups of the season. All right, next up, we're going to go Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss. They're going to make a statement at Neyland Stadium this weekend. And it's safe to say that this game means something to Lane Kiffin. It's an important matchup for Ole Miss and quarterback Matt Corral, with implications on the race for the Heisman Trophy and a marquee bowl game at stake. But Kiffin's return to Neyland Stadium will be explosive. Entering Saturday's SEC matchup, the Tennessee Volunteers defense ranked 58th in passing yards allowed per game, 232.2, and 41st in opponent's completion percentage, 63.1. Those aren't bad numbers, but it's important to remember Pittsburgh dropped 41 points on this offense in Week 2 or defense in Week 2, and the Florida Gators quarterback Emory Jones accounted for 353 total yards at a 38-14 win. Kiffin will not take his foot off the brake against Tennessee, and Corral recognizes an opening to catch the eye of Heisman voters. I fully expect this to be a thrilling shootout, but I think the edge goes to Ole Miss, with Ole Miss pulling away late in the game to win something like 48-38. So I would also add taking the over on the 80.5 total points line is also a good thing to do. There's going to be a lot of points scored in this game, and it should be an interesting matchup. I think Lane Kiffin gets the win here. All right, thanks Randy Martinez for the comments. I want to remind everybody, betting.net finds the best promotions, discounts, and bonus codes, so you don't have to. Head over to the website now to take advantage of things like first free bets and matching deposits. So make sure you check out betting.net, guys. Next up, we've got Texas A&M. Hot off the win against Alabama, the Texas A&M Aggies will go out and play the Missouri Tigers. Texas A&M is favored by 9. Now, the Week 7 college football lines would suggest there are going to be a few ranked teams who come crashing down on Saturday. While it's a guarantee we will see some top 25 teams fall flat on their face, it's hard to see any scenario where Texas A&M doesn't completely beat the brakes off of Missouri. Missouri's defense is terrible, and even if you put aside the wave of confidence the Aggies are riding after beating Alabama, there's one reason to expect a decisive victory. Texas A&M running back Isaiah Spiller is one of the best running backs in the country. While his rushing yardage is down this year, he is averaging 5.8 yards per carry. On Saturday, he could explode for 160 plus on the ground. Opponents are averaging an absurd 288.2 rushing yards per contest against Missouri, making at least 3 trips to the red zone. The Tigers allowed 458 yards to Tennessee, 275 to Boston College, 332 rushing yards to Kentucky. Frankly, I wouldn't be surprised if Spiller and sophomore Devon Aiken both eclipsed the century mark on Saturday. Of all of the college football picks, this is the one I'm most confident about. Go ahead, take the Aggies. Give the points against Missouri. Next up, a lot of people are saying Iowa is about to play a trap game against the Purdue Boilermakers. I don't see that. I mean, Purdue has won 3 of the last 4 meetings between these teams, and of all those games, they've been decided by 9 points or less. The Hawkeyes are coming off an emotional victory, and Purdue had an extra week. The thing is this, though, guys, when you look at Purdue, I think this is a team that even though they have a winning record at 3-2, they're highly overrated. I think the Iowa Hawkeyes defense will completely shut them down. So I would take Iowa. I would give the 11.5 points here, and I would feel real comfortable taking Iowa to win this game. Next up, guys, Baylor against BYU. BYU is a team that actually had playoff hopes, which were completely brutalized by the Boise State Broncos. And BYU's coming off that loss. Now they turn around for another tough road game at Baylor. The Bears average 227.7 rushing yards per game and can control the tempo. That's bad news for the Cougars. I like Baylor to win this game. I like for them to cover the spread also of 4.5 points. So I would have no problem here taking Baylor and giving the points. All right, guys, that's all the main bets for this week. Make sure you check me out on thegruelingtruth.com and betting.net. You can get the complete picks on thegruelingtruth.com and I think betting.net also. So far for the year, last week I was 6-6 against the spread, which puts us at 40-26 overall for the season so far. And I want to remind you, the Grueling Truth Sports Network is powered by betting.net. Betting.net is not just sports betting. Betting.net is also your gateway to the best online casinos. Sit back, relax, and have fun with online slots, poker, or other table games. Remember, guys, you can find me on thegruelingtruth.com. Follow us on Facebook. You can follow me at Twitter at GruelingTruth. But for now, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been watching and listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.